Good morning, fellow stampers and crafters and people just in love with fall, which is me right now. Today we're going to make this gather together, and then you can write your happy Thanksgiving greeting on the inside there. I think it's one that is not your typical pumpkins and harvest, and yet here's little squirrels doing a harvest. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me. Sorry, I'm a little late there. I got everything set up. Both the camera and the computer were working. And so I said, you really ought to get out of your pajamas. So I ran to get out of my pajamas and do a little something with my hair. And I come back and it's 3 minutes to start and there was no camera and nothing was working. So I had to reboot everything. So that's why I'm late. I'm sorry. But today we're going to make this card that's Gather Together card with Stampin' Up's Nuts About Squirrels. I'm going to go back down. Thanks for joining me. So we've got Nuts About Squirrels with these cute, cute little squirrels. A happy birthday. I'll show you how we can use that. If you had somebody sick, hope you're feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at the end of their COVID, which we've just gone through and been isolated for the last 11 days. So kind of rough there when you want to make something and it's like, oh, I don't have any sour cream. Oh, wait, I don't have any taco shells. We ate tacos 3 times. Anyway, we're over that and ready to go back to normal. So we're using Nuts About Squirrels. And the greeting that I used that you saw here was Gather Together from Pretty Pumpkins. We've used this for one previously. I hope you saw the one with if friends were pumpkins, I would pick you. And we used the Give It a Whirl and had the 3 different pumpkins. That was a pretty fun card. So if you'd missed that one, go back and look at one of my previous videos. And you can see that one. And the other thing we're going to use here today is Stampin' Up's Layering Diorama Dies. I'm sure you've all seen these. If not, I'll show you these today. All kinds of different ways you can layer. You can layer that has a perfect little border. You can layer that has a nice outside and a little one on the inside. Or you can get a little funky like I did here and said, I don't want a perfect layer. I want it to look like those squirrels have cut out the middle of the tree and they're storing their little nuts in there. So I use them a little differently, so I'll have to show you that. So those are the products we're using. Welcome again. I'm Karen Decker. I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for going on 13 years and love it. This last weekend, I wish you all could have been with me. We had our on stage at home. We don't have convention yet. Next year, they're planning convention in person, but this year it was still online. But oh my gosh, how much fun we had. They had a master stamper competition, and it was so fun to watch. We laughed so hard. And all the demonstrations of the new products. You are going to love our new catalogs. They are awesome. But before you think about the new catalogs, we have a sale that starts today and goes for 3 days. And it is a sale on papers, 10% off, inks, 15% off, and dies, 20% off. So you want those layering diorama dies? Perfect. You can get them now at 15% off. So be sure and look through your paper online on my blog. I have an inventory. Just go to the search. Go to my blog, stampalosifer.com. Go down here again so you can see my little Sal. So this is my blog, stampalosifer.com. I'm a philosopher who stamps. And this is my little character, Sal, that joins me on my blog as he makes fun of me and I make fun of him. So it's just kind of fun to have a character there. But on the blog, if you go to the search, you can put in color inventory sheet, and you can print out, there's a PDF of a sheet that you can print that has all our standard colors, so you could do an inventory list, and you can find out, gosh, I'm down to 2 pieces of Night of Navy because I used that one for cards, so then you might want to stock up on that Night of Navy. And if you don't want a pack of 24, do yourself a favor. For future creativity, and get the packs of card stock where you can get an assortment. So for example, you want the brights, you love the brights. You can get 2 each of your 10 colors. For our in colors that we absolutely love, you can get 4 each of the 5 in colors. So that's on page 126. So that's a nice way to stock up without stocking up with so much that you have more than you need for 20 years. But I can help you with that. I can show you lots of fun cards that we can make that you can use up that paper and need more, of course. Or, gosh, use up what you've got now so that come the new catalog in January, you can get that paper to make new cards. One thing on the blog also is gift bags. If you go to my blog and do the search and put in gift bags, you can go to my blog where at Club I taught you how to do gift bags with a 12 by 12 designer series paper. And one side flips over the other side, so they're just beautiful, and a 6 by 6. So you can go there and find gift bags and make a bunch of gift bags. Get together with your friends, make gift bags so that you can be ready for Christmas. So that's always a fun thing to do. So go to my blog, stampphilosopher.com, and you can see all the recipes and the recipe box of all the things that we've done before. Click on the thumbnail and it'll take you to the dimensions. So what else can I tell you about that? Don't forget the sale. Today, tomorrow, and Thursday, you have in the annual catalog, it's not the paper in the new mini catalog, but in the annual catalog, papers, inks, and dies. So those dies you really wanted, but you didn't want to pay that much money for them, get them 15% off now. And if you want to get them even better deal, look at everything you need and total it up to $125 worth of stuff. And then sign up for my team, and you can get that for a discounted amount. So then you're saving even more. You'll get the die at 15% off, but then you'll get it as part of your 125. So lots of different ways you can do it. So let's get to crafting here. We don't need to talk anymore. Most of you know all about Stampin' Up, and if you don't, I would love to talk to you about it. And you can go to my blog and find out even more. So my contact information is on the blog. Or you can do stampphilosopher@gmail.com with any questions you might have. So let's look at what this card is made of. This card has a bumblebee base. And now this base I have taken and I've done it what we call the long way. So I've cut it in half on your 8.5 by 11 at 4 1/4 and left the 11. So 4 1/4 by 11, and then scored at 5 1/2. And then we've scored that at 5 1/2. Okay, so there's our base. Then we're going to have a little fun here with our layering diorama dies. And I need to tell you about these papers. We have some really nice papers right now in the catalog that have these dark wood tone looks. So there's this one, which is part of, let me get it up here close. I'm on page 130 of the catalog. And this is the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. Do you see this dark brown here? And then do you see this one with all the pretty leaves in different colors? That is the paper that I used for the top of the card. I cut a 1 3/4 inch length, and then I just fussy cut around here just to give it a little more detail. So a lot of fussy cutting there. I did fussy cut those squirrels too, as I sat there watching the football game and cutting out. This is my swap cards. So let's see, 8 times 2, 16 squirrels. Paul was like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of fussy cutting. And I thought, yeah, I think I need a Brother Scannon cut. And he goes, really? I need to get you a Christmas present. So we'll see. Because I suppose with the Brother Scannon cut, I could have stamped those little squirrels and then run it through the Brother Scannon cut and it would have cut it. Don't know. We'll ask Lori. Anyway, that reminds me, I should get my comments up here. Do leave me a comment if you're there. So we've got the dark paper here, and that's this one that looks just like your wood, like on the tree. But then in another one, we have the In Good Taste paper. Goodness, I have to remember to go backwards from what I expect. The In Good Taste paper also has wood. So you can see there all the different wood tones that it has. Light wood tones, dark wood tones, darker wood tones, really dark wood tones, which is what we're going to use here for the inside of our tree. Okay, so that's where I got that. In Good Taste paper and Beauty of the Earth paper is what we're using today for our designer series paper. Bumblebee is the base. And I'm not going to make you watch me cut all this out. I do have some cut out. But I do want to show you how fun it is with the layering diorama dies and what I did to make it a little bit different than what we see normally. So I've got my 3 pieces here. I am going to cut this top piece, and I will definitely look at my instructions here because I had to keep remembering, okay, now which one am I using? So on the top tree, I want to use, and this is how it'll be explained on my blog. You can see the very top of the tree has the second from the largest layering diorama die. Okay? So we're going to use that right here in the middle. And we want, so the middle, for those of you who are perfectionists, I think I figured it was about 1.5 inches from the bottom. So see there, I need to go up a little there. And about 1.5, that's about 1 1/4. So I need to go back down just a little because we want, our top is going to go up here. And then we have where the squirrels are burying their stuff. So we're going to take that. Excuse me for just a second as I run that through. And now we have this cute shape for the top of our card. But we're going to use that inside shape as well. For the back, let's see, the back of our tree. And we're going to layer it on the piece here. Now all the dimensions will be on my blog. So I didn't write up little cards today. But this is going to be back here. And what I want to do is make sure that, because as you run them through, you kind of get where you forget what's the top and what's the bottom. So I'm laying that here to make sure that I remember what's the top, what's the bottom. Then we're going to glue this down and glue this on top of it so that those kind of match. I don't know that anybody could actually tell, but what we want to do is get this one glued down. And I'll be using all kinds of different glue here. This glue, I'm just going to use snail. Not much of this is going to show, but for the little bits that do, you want it to look like the tree, if there's any that does wind up showing. Because, of course, these all turn out different. Now what we want to do is we want to lay this on here. And before we do that, we want to take our crackle paint, because even though it's got a wood tone to it, it's still pretty boring. So we're going to take our crackle paint and we're going to run this through. I suppose I should probably show you sometimes. So when you do these 3D folders, I'm going to have to get a bigger table. You take off the layer 2. Let me scan out here. So let's go out a little here. So we're going to take off layer 2. We've got layer 1. We're going to put our 3D folder there. And then we're going to put number 4 plate on. Now it shows you this on your sandwich. It shows you 1 sandwich 4 to make your sandwich. And then always, always with these 3Ds, put it in with the, sorry, I almost don't do it, with your folded end. You want it to go in first, okay? Oh, you didn't need to see my arm there. You just needed to see this. Okay. So now I wanted to do that before I glue it down, because it does shrink it up, or sometimes it feels like it makes it a little bigger, depending on your embossing folder. So now we have a definite wood look one. And it looks like I didn't get that quite low enough, but we're going to have 2 more layers in here, so that's okay. So that's here, but if I'd been wise, I could have run this through at the same time. So this is going to be our other layer in the middle. So let's cut it out. And now with it, we're going to cut using the smallest die on it. Now you see how, if you were using these dies, this could make a beautiful border right there, and you'd have a nice border. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut it out as if we had that border, but then I'm going to turn it upside down because I want more of it to show. I don't want just a nice little border. I don't think that's how the squirrels make their holes. I think you've got a little more depth. So let me show you on this. So do you see this second layer? There's your back layer, and here's the second layer. And I've turned it upside down so that I can see all this and give you more of this and less of this. Okay, so let's do that right quick. Let's run this through. So for your typical plates for that, you have number 1, you have number 2, and then you have your cutting plates. So we're going to put this in here. We want this to make sure it goes over there and fits right there with that. And it's always good to have a little of your purple tape. I get this purple, it's called highlighter tape from Amazon. and it'll hold those two in place. 3. Oh, whoops, 3 was supposed to go under there. 3 under. Where's my commenters? You guys should be telling me these things. So here's this and that, and we're going to run it through. I'm going to the behind me so that we don't have the table shaking like crazy. Okay, so there you go. You've got your outside. Oh, and now I wish I'd remembered that I prefer where I ran that through, because I wanted that exactly centered. I should have done that first, because then I would have had more of my embossing show. But I did it second, so I don't have as much of the embossing showing. So let's go back, and now we're going to emboss this piece that's inside. Not much of it shows, but a little. And our piece that goes behind there, let's emboss it. And I wonder what would happen if we emboss a second time on this one. Let's check it out and see. So to emboss, again, we're going to take off our cutting plate here. We're going to take just number 1. Oh, I keep saying I don't need that many, and then I do stuff like this, and I'm going, I really do need that many maybe, because then you can see it a little better. So we have number 1. We have the embossing folder. It's going to go in with this side going that way, with the fold going toward our big shot. Then we're going to get our plate number 4 and run it through. Yeah, it's probably better I do it on the other one so you don't see the table. You probably don't need to see me running those through, do you? Goodness gracious. And now let's zoom back out, because you don't need to see all of that. Okay, so now we've got this, and just because I can, see how much deeper that's embossed. Don't know that I can get it exact, but we're going to try to get it close. Oh wow, you can get it pretty exact, because you can see where it is. I'm going to run that through again, and I want to run the little piece that we cut out, both of them together. So again, we should have cut this out first, and then run through the embossing folder, and then run both of these through the embossing folder for a better look. Okay, let's see how that worked. Oh yes, much, much better. Now we've got a little bit where it says, boy, you're really running me through a lot there. So we see a little white. We'll take a little of our sponge dauber and we'll just cover over the, oh no, we don't even need to cover over that, because this will be over it. So I got my extra embossing, and this is the crackled paint embossing folder. Now we do, Stampin' Up! Does have a wood embossing folder, 3D embossing folder, but you already have your wood tone here. So I really liked the kind of eclectic look, just more like a tree where it's not so perfect. Perfect was a word we heard often at our convention last weekend, and just do it. Don't feel like you have to be perfect. And you know me, it's like, oh, I want everything just to work perfect. So it was kind of a challenge to me to not worry about being perfect with everything. So we have our base. We have glued down this piece just to be a background. in case something might show. Okay, so this is going to go here. This is going to go here. And what we need to do now is we need to find that purple tape again. We need to get this centered right where we want it. And that could have come down a little, but it's not going to show. So I'm not worried about taking it off and redoing it. To be perfect, I would have taken more time to look at that on here and used purple tape and centered it perfect, but we didn't need to do that. So now we're going to hold that in place so that we can get this down here with all those lines matching. We want that to match nicely, so we're going to put it over there. Is everybody ready for Thanksgiving? All the fun times of being with family and friends? I hope so. Okay, so that's where we know we want that one. So now this goes away again, and this comes back. And do you see how we could have it exactly here, but we don't want it exact? We're going to turn it upside down and have it so that more of... So see, now you see where that brown here that I had on the background shows, and it shows a little here. That's why we did that. There was a reason to my madness, method to my madness. Got to get those sayings right. So see, here's our brown in the background, and here's our brown that will match on here. When we put this on, that brown, those lines are going to come on through. The other thing you can do that I did when I was afraid I was going to run out of paper for all my swaps, I took early espresso, and I used early espresso for that middle piece. And I took the early espresso ink pad and I turned it on its nose to get some lines, so that we had some lines in there. But wound up that there's so much squirrel and everything else that the lines really didn't show. But we have lines here for our tree, so it's already there. So now what we want to do is we want to pop this up over top of this, and then pop this up over top of this and place our squirrels. Easy peasy, right? So let's do it. So let's grab our dimensionals, or with this one, the squirrels' nuts that they're gathering are going to be in under here. So we have to be a little careful not to put a lot under there. But we'll be okay up top. So let's put some, instead of lots and lots of dimensionals, we have, thank you, Stampin' Up, adhesive strips that you can buy. So that when you do something like this, you've got strips. Nothing at the bottom we need to worry with, but definitely want the middle to pop up so we get that dimension. So we're going to have this right there on that side. And we're okay to have it. Let's just keep it up to the top. Let's keep our little strip up to the top so that we can be sure and place in those little acorns. And then we're going to do a little extra here. And take this and put it over here. And then I'm going to come back with some regular dimensionals, because I can see that I definitely want some dimension in here. Otherwise, there's not much reason to have layered diorama dies if you're not going to have a few layers there. Okay, so that's going to give us our layers. Do you all send out Thanksgiving cards? Obviously, I didn't used to, but now I kind of like celebrating. It's kind of a nice holiday because you have all the fun of being with family and friends without the worry of the presents at that moment. I think I want one more right there, just to keep it nice and popped up. Now the first one, I did try this one where I pushed it in and made it pop up a little, and I actually with the top put a layer of 2 dimensionals on here to give it more of a rounded look. But then when I did a second one and just popped it up as we're talking here and made sure I popped those up nicely, I decided the rounded really didn't give me much more and would be harder to mail. So I didn't round those. So I did get that upside down, right? So this is the right side. If we wanted them to just perfectly layer, we don't. We want to turn it upside down. And now I want to make sure I've got my borders covered there and there. And again, these measurements will be on the blog. And see, I thought I was getting one right under there and didn't. So let's do our little quicker picker poker upper. It's a take a pick tool, but I call it a quicker picker ticker picker upper. Until they came out with a ad for the paper towels that said the same thing, and I'm going, no, 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 that's my saying. So I'm going to push that dimensional under there. Now, if you think you're going to see them, be sure and use the black dimensionals. So I just want that to be sure and pop up a little. And I'm not liking. We've got dark and light, and it's not quite. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to sponge the edge of this. And distress it a little. Because this is the inside of a tree, you know. So we're going to take that, and you know, that dimensional did not work. I want a black one. We have black dimensionals. We don't have to have our white showing. So let's grab a black dimensional and our take a pick tool. And making sure our white's gone. Get that black one up under there. There, that's what I want. And then I want a little more dimension. We're making our scene here, right? And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take my fingernail. Now I've sponged it. I am going to distress those edges. Because after all, those squirrels are... looks like I need to sponge afterwards as we break the paper top and bottom. It's showing a little white. So we're going to get our sponge back and say, oh no, you can't be white. You're the inside of a tree. So now we've given it a little dimension and a lot of layer. Voila. Okay. So our little squirrels have dug their winter home. Now if they can just remember where it is so they can go get their little Acorns. I hear that they make lots of homes and they don't always find their stash. Sounds like a crafter, doesn't it? We have our ways and we think that it's perfect, and then we're going, now I know I have that. It's here somewhere. I'm sticking another black one right under there because I want those layers to show. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and this is just glued directly on. So we're going to take our paper and we're going to look at it and say, you know, oh, whoops, wait. We're on the wrong one. This is the top. I'm not there yet. We have one more layer to pop up. And this is what I wanted so much to show you, is that by not making the layers exact, look how much we get here and here and here. I love it. Oh, that didn't get much. We're going to go back here. Distress this side. Sponge this side now that we really see what it looks like. Oh yes, much better. And lots of layers. And you see why we really don't need to try. We could try and turn, push it, and put those dimensionals on, but that's going to make it harder to mail. So we don't want to do that. I decided I could hand out a couple, so those, you know, I might have been able to, but let's just keep them all the same. And now let's pop up this little guy. And before we pop him up, let's figure out what we want to do with this. We've got our branch coming in. This paper is beautiful. Just love it. Now, if that's going to be exactly even there, and you know Karen, she doesn't like it to be too exact. You think I'm a perfectionist? Oh, no. We like it when we're doing something like this. We're going to take, and those branches are coming in. And we want this one, we don't want it perfectly straight across there. We want it to look like a branch coming in. So here I've cut some of that so that our branch is coming in. And then let's go to the other side and do the same. We want our branch over here. We're even going to cut the tops so we don't have quite as much, we don't need that perfection across the top there. We're going to cut down a little. I do like the white on the back so that it makes those leaves really look awesome. But let's not make it so perfect. Stampin' Up! Would be proud of me. They said you've got to just learn to not be so perfect. And I'm going, oh, that's so hard for me. Okay, so I like that, where it's coming over there. We just need a little less over here. So we're going to take this and go here. And whatever doesn't show is good. So, see what I did there? Look, if I did that, those layers would exactly match, which some people might want. That would be cool. I don't. I want them to not match. So I want this upside down. So very important as you're working to keep double checking. So now I'm going to take this and take a little snail. And now we have a treetop. Let's get these out of the way and check for comments right quick. Hi, Lucille. Hey, Lucille, how are you? This stamp set is Nuts About Squirrels. It's got some fun stuff. Hope you're feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Hey there. And I'm going to show you here in just a second how fun it is to have a stamp that takes care of the coloring. So you don't have to sit there and color, color, color. Okay, so I've glued that on top of there. And now we're going to pop it up also. So we're going to grab our, let's get a little of this out of the way from the last little bit of cutting. So this is a spoiler alert, Lucille. You'll be getting this card in the mail as your swap card for November. Now normally, today we would be doing club card because club would have been last week, but due to Paul's COVID, we had to cancel club. But he's on day 11 now, and he's doing just fine. He said he's had worse colds than this, so it was very, very light. So we're thankful for that. Let's not waste that little bit. We can put him right there. Or not. It says, nope, not going to go. Okay. And the other thing we want to do with this is, again, take that fingernail. Let's distress that edge and then sponge it. Because this little squirrel doesn't make perfect little holes in his stash. Lucille, we are having club next Tuesday, and we can certainly Skype you in or something, whatever you use that works, so you can talk to everybody. And I'll show you what we're going to do then. Okay, so now we're going to take back our sponge dauber. Yeah, the other pieces would have been much easier had I done this before I put them down, but when you get nervous on going live, it's like, even though I've got all the instructions written down, you forget to look and just hurry, hurry, hurry so you can get it done. Okay, so layering diorama dies. Let's see if we can get a little more fuzziness, I guess you'd call it, where it's distressed. I guess you wouldn't have a tree wouldn't look fuzzy, but it would definitely look distressed. Okay, what do you think? And now, this is going to go over here. And see how it's popped up? So now you have those other layers showing here. And popped up, we need some on the bottom, and I don't think we have to worry about running into any squirrels except for right around here, so we don't have to worry about our squirrels. And I like to use a pop-up a little bit in the, so you don't have it where you've got it on the outside that it's kind of lifted, and then the inside it kind of goes down in a circle. And we want it to look more circular, like a tree going out. So we want it more that way. And I don't know if you were with me, Lucio, when I said on this one, I put double dimensionals so that I could pop it way up, and then I put dimensionals out here to try and do a circle, but I'm thinking that's not going to ship very well. So we're not going to do that. Okay, so where else do I need to worry? Not there, because that little squirrel's on top of our tree limb. Okay. See how much faster that is when you've got some strips? They're called adhesive strips. They're in the catalog. And that takes the place of, goodness, I would have used lots and lots more. But now if I'm going to go right around the circle, we're going to do it with black, our black dimensionals, which are now available. if I decide I need some in the middle. So let's look here and see where we're at. This is where I like to stand up, go straight down, trying to get it nice and straight on both sides. My eyes don't always look straight. And then hope that it worked, and it did. And I think we're looking pretty good for the dimension in there. But we're going to put a little squirrel here. So I'm going to take a black one and our take a pick tool. And go in here. Just because we don't want that collapsing on us at all. Maybe one right there too. But we want to have black ones so that we don't have any white showing in our stash. What do you think for our base? You ready to make some squirrels? So I have set up the Stamparatus with our squirrels to make this nice and fast. And I've set it up with one set of squirrels is our outline. So you have a set that is going to do the outline. And then this set is going to come down and color it so that you don't have to spend much time coloring even. And you know me, I like to put, let's take our Nuts About Squirrels, and let's put him here. I just find that if I have that nice solid base on the side, that I don't get as much ink out here around the plate, because then the ink on the plate gets on the magnets, and then that gets on our card or our fingers, and then our fingers get on the card, so it's a pain. So what I've done already is I stamped these, and then I took and I positioned these coloring ones over the stamp so that I knew exactly where they needed to go. So let's see how it works. So we're going to take a piece of basic white. This is bigger than what you really need, but it's critical when you're doing coloring, this two-step stamping. You want those magnets to hold tight because you're going to do it more than once. So they've got to hold tight. So I gave myself extra room here. Plus, it gives you the room that you need to stamp the, there's a branch. So we're going to stamp this little branch. We're also going to stamp two more of the acorns. And they do have the things where you could color the acorns, but we're just going to color them quickly. That's small enough. You don't worry about it. So you can use the extra white to stamp your two acorns and to stamp the branch. So we're not wasting too much. Okay, so now what I did when I did this, I tried several different colors and tried crumb cake for my outline, and that was too light. Tried crumb cake with soft suede, and I found out that soft suede, if I do it twice, works perfect. Because I like that dark outside on those. So we're going to stamp. And this is where Lori has a Chucky where she made out of a Yankee Candle. And you take that Chucky has felt on the bottom, and you rub to get it nice, good. And I found after making several of these that right here on his ears and right there on the tails seem to be places that don't want to stamp as well. Ooh, that looks great. But you saw how that paper pulled up. So I don't know that we'll have to see. I may have to do the other side, because the goal is But these magnets will hold it and that paper won't come up so that we can stamp 2 or 3 or 4 times. Early espresso was too dark, crumb cake was too light, but soft suede, going twice, seemed perfect. What do you think? Yay! Even though it looked like it pulled up a little, there's no double image. So we're set there. Oh, don't take it off. What's critical now is these little guys are going to come down and they're going to color it. So let me show you. I first used cinnamon cider all by itself. And I said, too dark. So I used crumb cake. Too light. So let me show you what I came up with for coloring. And let me find cinnamon cider. This is one of our in colors that goes away in June with our new catalog. So if you love cinnamon cider, you might want to get it while the ink pads are, what did I say, 15% off today. So for the cinnamon cider. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to take my pretty pumpkin here and put it under, because again, I like that real firm stamp. We're going to stamp with cinnamon cider. But we're going to stamp it off. So I've got a piece of copy paper. And I'm going to bring these over. And I'm going to stamp them off. See how there's way too much there. We're going to stamp off. And then I see that didn't stamp off on that tail. And the tail right there has more ink than I want to start with. Then I kind of make sure, doing okay. I colored my first one with gray, I think, and trying to get nice lines in there. And then I said, well, I wonder, let's see the double stamping, because I love to color, so I thought coloring would be the best. But when you're making a lot of cards, probably not. Okay, so there's our first layer. We're going to do it again. Because I want a light color. Oh, we didn't even get any ink on that one. This is amazing. Okay, Chucky. Guess you need to see me, not the stamp. Okay, so I rubbed, try to get all the ink to transfer, especially right there on his head. It seems that always had a problem. Oh my goodness, look at that. What do you think? I like it. Okay. So there you have your squirrels. And then you'll see why I wanted that color, because for the inside I didn't want to leave that white. So what I did was I tried, again, several different ones, light crumb cake, dark crumb cake, and what I came up with that looked the best was our ivory Stampin' Blend. I think you'll agree when you see, I don't know that I can zoom up anymore. Let's check. Yeah, we're zoomed about as far as we can. I could put this down a little for the coloring. There. And I think you'll see how when I color with ivory and 2 stamped off cinnamon ciders, I come up with this beautiful, beautiful color for a squirrel. I'll bring back in the full cinnamon cider. You can see in a minute. Paul liked that better. And there's a little bit right there on the edge. I could have worked on that just a little. Now I'm not going to color and cut these out all in front of you. I just want to show you how ivory and cinnamon cider went together so perfectly. So you can see our little guy. Then I went online going, I don't like the color of my acorns, the first ones I did. So I Googled acorns to see pictures and found that, oh, acorns are much reddish, more reddish than what I expected. So I used the light Cajun craze to make a nice red acorn. Give it a little shadow there, try to get one end a little lighter than the other where he's holding it. And then for the top, I used the top was bronze. Bronze is another one. Ivory is just a single. It's not a double. It's not one of our colors. It's what we use for skin tones. The other skin tone we have is bronze. And it's one of my favorites to use for gingerbread men and that kind of stuff. So I took the bronze so that it's kind of a different brown from our cinnamon cider. So it'll look nice with our squirrel. So what do you think? There's our squirrel. We've got bronze, light Cajun craze, cinnamon cider stamped off twice, and ivory to color our little guy. And then we cut him out. And we stamp a couple extra, acorns. And if I could find the card, we might be able to put it together. Oh goodness, it's here. Oh, here it is, way over here. I guess when I pushed away the Stamparatus, I pushed it away too. Okay, so here we've got our squirrels. We've got one here, and he's going to be on a limb. And we've got one here ready to stash the next. And what I loved was doing one of his feet right on that edge and his tail up on the top. So it looks like he's right on the edge of the hole. And then this little guy is down here. And I have a cutout branch. And I put him right on top of the branch and glued him down. Then I took our 2 acorns. Oops, we need to get this up here. I took our 2 acorns. And now we've got 2. You see the acorns, when we cut them out, they have the little bitty hands on them still. So we need to hide those little hands. So we put a glue dot on it, and ooh, we lost it. We'll find it here in a minute. I'll just get a different one. So we put him like this in that layer, upside down. We're going to do the next one upside down so that we can hide that little one. And those, I put this on with Tombow glue, and then have a dimensional under here, a dimensional under his head, black dimensionals. This little guy got glued directly on, and with Tombow glue, and the branch is glued directly on. And then let me show you what you can do for greetings. What I did on the one I showed you was gather together, which is using the pumpkin gather together, and I stamped it with masking the together and just the gather. and then was able to cut it out with another set of dies you're really going to want is the tailored tag dies, where it gives you this wonderful stitched edging, and yet you can't tell that there's a tag under there, but this is going this way and this way so that you don't have a lot of square that you're seeing out there. So it worked perfect to go underneath our little guy. So that's a tailored tag die. And I'll be sure and list that in the size you need for the paper in the blog, on the blog. And so then on the inside, I masked off the gather and stamped it together. And then put our 3 little dots so that you could see we were trying to say something there, gather together. The other thing you're going to love with this stamp set is it has let me wait and show you a couple others here. Here's the tailored tag dies and the happy birthday from the squirrel die. So tailored tag die, a happy birthday. And his little head can go right over that circle, but not over the H. And you can have a lovely happy birthday card if you've got some people at the end of Thanksgiving, first part of December, that you don't want to send those Christmassy type happy birthdays. Send them one of these with squirrels. I think they would smile and absolutely love it. And then the other one you may have already seen is from, again, the Pretty Pumpkins. So Thankful for You. I've stamped it in pumpkin pie and then fussy cut around the edge, pretty much the same shape, because I didn't want it a circle. I didn't want it, I wanted to see as much of the brown as I could, I guess. And I sponged the edge with early espresso, but on the brown it really didn't do much there. But you could do So Thankful for You and then do Happy Thanksgiving on the inside. Or we've got our happy birthday, or as I did with gather, which is what our little guys are doing, gather together. And then for here, I have one of the gilded gems that we sell. I used one of the smaller ones, the gold gilded gem. Just that one gem adds that little bit of sparkle. Of course, some of you might want to add 5 or 6 or 3 or 4 at least, but to me, just that one added the sparkle we needed. So let's do the inside and we will be done. And I will show you a sneak peek of the club card that also used the layered diorama dies. So let's take our inside piece and let's take our 2 stamps. We've got the veins for the inside, and we've got, goodness, looks like I need to clean. There, make it stick real good. Okay, and then we're going to use, very quickly here, look at the colors that are in your top there. You've got this, I'm using the Cajun Craze to match that. I'm using it's here, Daffodil Delight, or no, the Crushed Curry, which is more like your bumblebee on the outside. They were all in a nice stack. And then I'm using your pumpkin pie. Oh, they're behind the computer. We just pushed them all away. Now, Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, and our pumpkin pie that we used for the greeting. So be sure and have your chamois close by. And I have chamois I have one full one for our big stamps. It doesn't look horrible. Oh, we better zoom out. But then I have one that I cut in fourths so that I can pick it up and use it to clean. So we're going to need that in between. So we're going to stamp a yellow one, Crushed Curry. Wash. Cajun Craze, which matches kind of that color in there. Wash. And then, what was my other color? Pumpkin pie. That was a pumpkin pie. This is the Cajun Craze. Good gracious. We want them to all kind of look funky, like leaves look when they fall. Scrub that off. And then we take the other part, which I probably just set my things on. Missing little stamp, little stamp. And this was such a fun part. I don't want you to miss it. And you stamp the inside of the leaves. You do. It was so sad. The Stampin' Up people for convention, they were going, oh my gosh. The technical difficulties were hard for them. You know, we're used to it. We'd just kind of be patient and wait for them, but I'm sure they were scrambling and just feeling awful that they couldn't get us online. Oh, look, it's right there. Right there where I would know where it was and not mess up. If you ever lose stamps, little stamps like that, check your trash. Because you'll be swiping the table to get rid of all that trash and wind up getting your little bitty stamps in the trash. Okay, so now we've got the veins, and because it's photopolymer, you can look straight down. It's so fun. Voila, isn't that fun? How's our time doing? Do I have time to show you the gather together? Nope, we've gone over an hour. Trying to keep it to no more than an hour and 15 minutes. So basically what I do, I'll show you very quickly, but we won't completely do it, is, and you know what would be really wise is if we would put these little bitty stamps together like I had them to begin with, so that I always, you know, we've got them together and we're not going to lose them. Put up our 3 different inks. And then when we do, what I do, I've got a little set of Post-it notes. And when you've got a stamp, so here's our gather together. So basically you can take, now you could color this with your pumpkin pie marker. Do not use your Stampin' Blends, it'll stain it. But you could color it with your pumpkin pie marker, and I did that to start. But if you do that, you want to use it on a Stamparatus so that you can do it twice or 3 times, because I find that when I color the back, I do not get a nice deep color. You know, it's really light. We just had your pumpkin pie. So basically, I'm just masking off the gather. I'll stamp it carefully. Then, do not forget to take off the mask. I won't tell you how many times I've done that. And then check, and I see that that has just a little that didn't take that finger. It was so funny with our CEO, Shelley, founder of the company. She was doing a demonstration and she just licked her stamp and we all went, ah! She and Shelly and Sarah, her daughter, who is now our, oh, did I do the wrong one? No, there we go, together. We're stamping together. It was just a kick to watch them. They tease each other and have so much fun. And several other demonstrations that I kind of went through the calendar and said, I don't know. And then they do these demonstrations like, oh my gosh, it's amazing what they did with our new product. Ta-da! And then I just took our pumpkin pie marker and did our little 1, 2, 3 to match what we did on the front so that people see gather. What is she saying? Gather. Well, gather together. So on the front, I did the same thing with the masking. Stamped the gather. Then I cut it out with our tailored tag die. Okay, so I masked it, stamped it, cut it out. But we're not going to do that here because we're running out of time. And I think you've got the gist of it. So what do you think? Let me show you one more thing. I looked at these layering diorama dies, and I had purchased the Wise Men from the new mini catalog, and I'm going, oh, I really want to use those because I love the Bethlehem, and coloring those Wise Men would be so fun. So for club, I came up with layering dioramas, and the Wise Men are going to Bethlehem. And we've got our star up here with a nice sparkly on it. And there's different ways now that I'm going to teach you at club how to do a reverse image, because this is not, this guy is facing the same way as the others. So tune in for the next YouTube, Facebook Live, and I will show you how to make this card. And you could also make it in purple and gold, which is really bright. So stay tuned for that. And we've kept it. I've got a minute and a half left to say goodbye. Let me come down here, raise this so you don't have to see it anymore. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful November and getting ready for all the wonderful times of the holidays when you can be with family and friends. So happy Thanksgiving from the Stampilosopher, Karen Decker, here in Castle Rock, Colorado. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love you as part of my team if you'd like to join our team. It's a good time. You can get all those supplies at 10%, 15%, and 20% off over the next 3 days and put them in a beginner kit, and you'll have a lot of product to start your business or to start your hobby and have something to do during the winter that you would just have so much fun. So thank you for joining me. Let me know if you have any questions. My blog again is Stampilosopher. Sounds hard, but it's just stamp, then A, then losopher, like the end of philosopher. So stampilosopher.com. Thank you all, and we'll see you again next time.